Fort Braddock was steeped in tradition, its air thick with the weight of history, gunpowder and ghosts lingering from wars long past. It was a place where orders were ironclad, and power flowed downward like a steel chain. Then Captain Alina Torres arrived, and that chain began to rattle. She wasn't imposing, neither tall nor loud, but her presence commanded attention. Seasoned Sergeant stood straighter when she entered, not from fear but respect. Her sharp, tired eyes told of experience, not sleeplessness. At 32, she was a seasoned tactical commander with tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, a Purple Heart she never discussed, and countless lives saved. She didn't boast. That wasn't her way. Raised in a military family in San Antonio, discipline was her lifeline. Her father, a retired Marine drill instructor, taught her to do the job or not bother with the boots. Her mother, a schoolteacher, gave her a voice of steel, quiet but unyielding. Alina joined the army to earn something no one could hand her. She outworked everyone, mastering tactics, strategy, and ethics, with no tolerance for laziness or injustice. At Fort Braddock, her competence earned quiet admiration, but it didn't shield her from Colonel Everett Briggs. For 6 years, he'd ruled the base like a king. A Gulf War veteran, he was respected on paper, feared in person. His command presence was bullying to most. In his late 50s, with calculating eyes and pristine boots, he wielded power ruthlessly. Soldiers knew his wrath. Some were reassigned, others silenced. When Alina met him at officer orientation, he dismissed her as a soft promotion under his breath. She locked eyes with him, unflinching, and the tension began, silent but searing. Briggs's jabs were subtle at first. He interrupted her briefings with snide remarks. "That's a civilian solution, Captain." Her detailed reports came back slashed with red ink. "Stick to basics." He questioned her unit's maneuvers, then claimed them as his own. It wasn't critique. It was erosion meant to diminish her. Alina endured with grit, knowing the Army's shadows favored men like Briggs. She kept her unit sharp, drills crisp, simulations flawless, logistics tight. Her soldiers respected her, though they stayed quiet around command. Whispers spread through the barracks. Stories of female officers leaving abruptly, tales of inappropriate comments and unwelcome closeness. None stuck. Briggs had allies in high places. One night after a grueling training session, Alina found a note under her door. "Be careful. He's watching you closer than the others." Her skin chilled. 2 weeks later it happened. Alone in the ops room reviewing logistics, Briggs entered and shut the door. "You make the men uncomfortable, Captain," he said, stepping closer. "Discipline doesn't make you respected. It makes you uptight." She stood firm. "I'm here to lead, sir, not coddle." His eyes narrowed. "You're bold. Bold for a woman." Her blood froze, but her face stayed stone. "I take that as a compliment." He stepped closer, his breath hot on her face. She met his gaze, unyielding. "Permission to leave, sir." After a tense pause, his smirk faded and he stepped back. She walked out, the flag outside rattling in the wind. Something was about to break, and it wasn't her. That night, Alina paced her barracks, fists clenched, not from fear but restraint. Briggs's words, bold for a woman, echoed like a challenge. By morning, the base resumed its rhythm, but glances shifted. Soldiers avoided her eyes or lingered too long. Briggs's intent was clear. She'd drawn a line and he wouldn't forgive it. At the week's briefing, she presented a supply issue, only for Briggs to cut her off. No micromanagement from junior officers. She wasn't junior. She was a captain, next in line if he fell. The room went silent. Later, she overheard a lieutenant whisper, "He's gunning for her." Days later, Briggs ordered a brutal stress test for her unit. Runs, push-ups, sandbag drills under the noon sun. He wanted them broken, her leadership discredited. But her soldiers were loyal, trained beside her, bled with her. She joined them, helmet on, rifle in hand. "You don't have to run, ma'am," Private Morales whispered. "You're not running without me," she replied. They finished first, every one of them. Briggs watched from a tower, his clipboard gripped tightly. That night, another note appeared in her locker. "Careful. He's losing face. That's when he gets dangerous." Briggs shifted tactics, undermining her subtly. Supplies were delayed, simulations canceled, promotions denied. He bypassed her, speaking directly to her squad. One evening, Staff Sergeant Reeves, a trusted non-com, approached. "We see what he's doing, Captain. We're behind you." She nodded. Let's be ready when he strikes. Clarity replaced fear. Some fights demanded more than silence. 3 days later, during a public drill with 282 soldiers, Briggs confronted her. She'd issued a standard repositioning order, but he shouted, "Who gave you authority to override me?" She responded calmly, "I saw a vulnerability, sir, per protocol." He stepped into her space, face inches from hers, hand rising. The field froze. She was ready. The air at Fort Braddock hung heavy, clouds casting shadows across the drill yard. Colonel Briggs's hand was raised, a threat defying protocol. Alina Torres stood coiled, her training honed for moments like this. He sneered, "You think you can embarrass me?" She replied evenly, "I followed protocol, sir." His hand moved to strike, but Alina's reflexes were faster. Years of Krav Maga surged in one fluid motion. She intercepted his wrist, pivoted, and snapped his arm with a crack that echoed like a gunshot. Briggs dropped to one knee, face ashen, arm dangling unnaturally. "You'll never raise your hand to me again," she said, voice icy. Gasps rippled through the ranks. Alina turned to her soldiers. Formation remains intact. They obeyed, not from rank, but respect earned in that moment. The drill was suspended, soldiers dismissed, but the base buzzed. Rumors flew she broke his arm. He tried to hit her. From the observation tower, officers watched in shock. Alina sat in her quarters, adrenaline fading, muscles aching from restraint. Staff Sergeant Reeves knocked. "Words are moving up the chain," he said. "You earned more loyalty today than most get in decades." She nodded. "This isn't the end." "No, ma'am," he replied. "It's the beginning." Investigators arrived within hours. Briggs's radial fracture was confirmed. Footage retrieved from multiple angles. Alina faced Colonel Felix Meyer in a sterile office. "He says you attacked him," Meyer said.
"He tried to strike me," she countered.
The footage backed her. "Why not de-escalate?" he asked. "I did, with minimum force." Meyer sighed. "Hearings are coming. But your peers say you acted with control and that Briggs has a history." She stayed silent. Outside, soldiers watched her with respect, not judgment. A sketch appeared on her door. A soldier standing tall, a shadow's hand raised with the words, "Strength isn't loud. It just doesn't move." Fort Braddock changed overnight. Whispers became voices. She stood up. The army scrambled to contain the fallout, but the story wasn't just a broken arm. It was about unchecked power. Complaints against Briggs surfaced, decades of abuse, harassment, silenced voices. Alina was reassigned to administrative duties. Her roster empty, but her name was everywhere. Brigadier General Curtis Layden arrived to calm the waters. In a tense meeting, he warned her, "You're a movement now, Captain." "That's bad for discipline." She met his gaze. "So is protecting abusers." General Huxley interjected, "We lead the conversation or get drowned by it." Layden ordered her transfer to Westfield Command Center, calling it a promotion. "Containment," Alina told Reeves. "But they didn't bury you," he replied. "That counts." At Westfield, Alina's new role as strategic operations liaison was vague but amplified her voice. Officers listened, some thanking her quietly. Whispers of her stand spread across bases, Fort Hood, Fort Drum, sparking testimonies of similar abuses. She became a symbol. Major Layla Daniels recruited her for a task force reviewing command climates, starting with Fort Braddock. "Someone up there got the message," Daniels said. Alina agreed to join, determined to break the silence she'd once kept. Briggs's story unraveled. Complaints piled up, 30, some 8 years old. Media caught wind, veterans spoke out, and senators demanded accountability. Briggs faced a rare public Article 32 hearing. Alina was summoned to testify. In the Fort Meyer courtroom, she swore her oath and detailed the incident, the climate, the silenced voices. "I snapped his arm to neutralize a threat, not just to me but to the 282 soldiers watching." The crowd gasped. Briggs called her unstable, but his words fell flat. 4 more officers testified against him, recounting years of threats and sabotage. The panel's verdict was unanimous: guilty of conduct unbecoming and abusive authority. Briggs was demoted, dishonorably discharged, and referred to civilian court. A week later, Alina returned to Fort Braddock as a guest. General Huxley met her, admitting, "You were right. One soldier standing up makes others follow." On the parade field, 300 troops cheered as she was promoted to major, a silver oak leaf pinned to her chest. Private Morales wiped a tear. Reeves saluted proudly. In her new quarters, Alina opened her notebook, writing never again. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning, and she was ready.